just go and say, okay, I'm here, give my papers back. You know, it's not that easy. So that's what we're asking to do this reform, immigration system reform. It hasn't been touched, it hasn't been overhauled since 1986. So we need to change now.
So not only is there no line for people who could be in a line, because I'm sure people are wondering, well, Victor's married to a U.S. citizen, obviously that should just get fixed, right? Well, not if someone was taken back for a visit to see grandparents when they were a baby and then brought back in a second time. That's a permanent bar. And there are so many people in our community facing these permanent bars, even though the trip happened, you know, when they were little kids. So there is no line for most people, and if there is a line, say, through a brother or a sister who was born in Mexico, that line is looking like maybe 50 to 100 years. Because it's backed up to 1996 and it's moving, you know, like 3 days a year or something like that. It's never going to advance to the point that someone who is getting into that line today would ever make it to the front. So, right, the system itself is hopelessly broken.
And that's what I used to think too, like, well, my mom was able to escape genocide from the Guatemalan Civil War. She got political asylum. There should be another line for people that are coming over because their home countries are just so terrible. The state, their economic state, just social state is just incredibly corrupted. And then I found out that there is no line. There is no form that could be filled out. And even if for people that are able to apply through their siblings, like what was said, there's the line, the wait time is just beyond someone's life before they could even get any sort of status. And something else that Angie questioned was how people are able to get into the country legally. And one of the things that I learned is that the U.S. gives the same amount of visas to every single country. So if you're giving, let's say, 50 visas to Haiti, and then you're giving 50 visas to Mexico, there's a greater chance for people in a smaller country to get that visa. But there's not that great of a chance for people in larger countries to get that visa. And in larger countries, and we can see it across the board, the cost of this visa is so expensive, and it's in U.S. dollars. Whereas in Mexico, the dollar there doesn't have the same worth as it does here. So people have to come up with that amount of money. And we applied for my grandma to come over to the U.S., and it was just for one of the temporary visas. And one of the reasons that they had denied her was because she didn't have large assets. She didn't have a large amount of money. It wasn't a certain thing that she would be able to, that she would want to go back to Guatemala. And that's just because my family is poor. If you don't have something to look back to and want to go back to, they say no. And a lot of people in those countries don't have the resources, don't have those assets. And that's why they come here in hopes that they could earn those assets, could earn that sort of lifestyle.